Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Where are you guys coming in from? Sujay just left here in Belize. I'm still in Belize, and it was probably the hottest day since I've been here the last
Oh,
3 months.
today.
It's crazy. And I'm working construction. So I was just out there working on the tree houses we have out there. I forgot how difficult doing construction is in the heat. But we want to hear from you guys. Where are you guys coming in from? And Sujay just left to
Yeah,
go
I got
back to
my
the
got my full
snow.
sleeves on already, so I'm ready for this Midwest weather.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know, I wonder if our chat's maybe disabled because I don't see any messages. Maybe if you guys can t test it. Usually we see some chats coming through at this point, but I think maybe if you guys, the team just want to check if they're able to post in the chat. I think I could see, oh yeah, we could see in the Q&A. Thank you, Tamara. So she says chats are disabled. No chat. Well, I guess you guys could post in the Q&A. Thank you guys. Okay, we're working on that behind the scenes, but oh, there we go. Okay, I think it's working.
Yeah, chat's open.
Yeah, chat's open.
Ooh, we got someone from Michigan. So Tamara, I won't hold it against you. I'm a Buckeye.
Washington, Montana, California, Orlando,
Washington.
Cleveland,
My guy
ooh,
Shallon
ooh,
from Cleveland.
Phoenix, Boston, Jersey Shore. Awesome. Oh, we have one. Oh, so we have a Canadian, Vancouver. Oh, Newfoundland, another one. Hello to my Canadians.
Newfoundland's by the water, right?
Uh-huh, exactly. Opposite side of where I'm from, but now I'm kind of a nomad. Well, welcome everybody. We're really excited to have you guys here live tonight. It's going to be an incredible presentation, so we will get to it and we will do our intros in just a second. But we are here to talk about how smart investors are replacing 5+ rentals with one high cash flow hotel without millions in the bank, which is a really important one because I know that that can feel like a lot. A hotel sounds like such a huge undertaking, but we are going to show you how it is possible for you through creative finance. So we're all here. We all love real estate investing, right? It is the best way to build wealth. It is the best way to buy back your time, have that freedom lifestyle that a lot of us are looking for. But I'd love to see in the chat too, who is already in real estate investing, and then what is it that got you into real estate investing in the first place? And for me, it was to quit my 9 to 5 job because I did not want to be tied to a job. I wanted this freedom lifestyle, like Julian is saying. I'm in for the cash flow. That's what we love. We love the cash flow. Michelle says, scale my income. Sujay, what was yours? What was your reason to get into hotel investing?
Yeah, for me it was honestly I wanted to do something purposeful with my time, right? And so I wanted to put my time where it mattered and this real estate especially hotels was one way that I could, like you said, buy back my time. So
I love it. So our promise to you, by the end of this time together, we will teach you why hotels offer a better path to grow than traditional rentals and why you don't need millions to buy a hotel. So who's excited for that? It's gonna be a great time. All right. So here's what we really want to get through. I love this quote by Warren Buffett: what the wise do in the beginning, fools do in the end, right? So we're at the beginning of this. You're just starting to hear about boutique hotels, but we are here to teach you so you could get ahead of the game because we know that it's going to catch on soon. And times have changed. So investing strategies that used to work are no longer working. And a lot of you who I know are in short-term rentals, maybe Airbnbs, it's really tough. And this happened to me personally. My Airbnb got shut down. The rules and regulations changed in my city, and this is just happening more and more. So, of course, real estate investing you need to learn how to adapt or you will get left behind. And we want you to think bigger sooner because we don't want you building yourself this big job. This is from my experience in single family rentals. We want to go scale. We want to go after those life-changing deals. And a question for you guys, how many rentals do you own currently? And if it's 0, that's okay too. But I see Steve here buying a hotel in Puerto Rico. That is amazing. Okay,
Nice.
so a lot of current real estate investors, 3 rentals, 1, 4,
That double
2.
digit.
Amazing, you guys. Oh, and I love this, Danny, 1 rental for Airbnb arbitrage. That's cool too, because that's a great strategy. A lot of you who are in this short-term rental game, a lot of those skills are transferable to boutique hotels. Oh my gosh, 2,000. That's
Hey,
all amazing.
for
Good for
for
you.
everyone who put 0 out there, I had 0 Airbnbs before I got into hotels. So, definitely want to show my zeros some love.
It's so true. And you don't need to be at any certain spot to get into hotel investing. So good for you guys. I see a ton, Leanne, 68. I saw another Mia 21. Good for you guys. All of you. Congratulations. You're already on the path for real estate investing success. So for us, we will get a little bit into our intros. So for me, next slide there. Yes, we are the founders of Hotel Investor Academy. I wore this shirt. I was actually just outside renovating and I was wearing this shirt because it's so comfy. And I'm like, might as well represent it on the call. But for me, I have been a real estate investor for 14 years now. I started in single family homes and I was doing all the renovations myself. So DIY, everything. And of course, I mean, I just said I'm still doing it, but it's because it's a passion project for me. I actually really love doing it. But the difference is now I have the choice. I have the choice to be able to work on my construction projects if I want to, or not. I could go hang out on the beach if I wanted to as well. So I have that freedom now that I was always looking for because with the single family homes, I just felt like I built myself into this big job. And if I wasn't the one there doing the work wasn't getting done at all. So I've been on lots of podcasts. I'm on social media. I was doing that, like I said, the single family homes for 10 years. And I really was feeling stuck in that. But once I discovered commercial real estate investing, that's when everything really changed for me. The big pivotal moment was after a mastermind I joined in 2019. So I was still doing my single family homes. I was still working construction. I didn't really know how to build a business. I didn't know how to get out of that. But when I went to that mastermind 2019, it completely changed my life because I was around other people doing big deals and I learned how to build a real estate investing business and I got a lot of confidence in myself. And we actually just came from our own hotel investing mastermind out here in Belize. That was just over the weekend, and it was just an incredible time. I don't know if any of our members are here on this call today, but if you're here, we want to say hi. But it was just an incredible time. And it really makes a huge difference when you are around those people who are thinking bigger and who can help you just see the potential in yourself, because sometimes it is a little bit difficult when you are doing it all on your own. So this was a huge light bulb moment for me. I realized I could achieve in months what with commercial real estate, what was taking years with single family rentals. And then I was thinking, I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. I doubled my income and portfolio overnight with my first commercial real estate deal. And it was just as much effort as it was when I was buying my single family homes. So I love this because short-term rentals plus commercial real estate equals hotels. So all the skills that I built up through doing my single family homes and my Airbnbs now transfer to the hotel investing strategy that I use today. So Sujay is my business partner and our expert in hotel investing. So welcome, Sujay. Thank you.
Yes, I am super excited and kind of like what Britt talked about. I mean, I'm so excited to get into it about, just the time that it takes to go from short-term rentals or single family homes. So I didn't come from the STR space. We did have some single family homes and things like that, but I really honestly I dove all in. My one of my first projects was actually a construction development project. So we did some ground up stuff. Some pictures here, but we did some development. I've been doing acquisitions for a while now. And now, just getting into like the speaking and coaching space as well, which has been really exciting for me, to just share the journey and talk about what we've done. I just made so many mistakes along the way, and every time we do a deal, just learning more and more. So it's a journey. It's exciting, but I feel like at this point, definitely done a lot. 14 plus hotels, and counting. So hopefully a couple more this year. So aggressively pursuing that. We've done branded stuff. We've done boutique stuff. The boutique stuff is fun. As Britt was saying, we were just in Mariposa, in Belize. We had a little mastermind there, which was a lot of fun. Got to see some of the cool things that we've done in terms of value add. So I'm excited to talk about that a little bit more as well. All right. So why hotels now? Right. So Britt in the beginning, she was talking about, if you're not in it now, you're going to get left behind. But why hotels right now? Like, why is it such a good time? One of the reasons why is, other investments in general are just they're just boring, right? They're boring. They're no fun. But more than that, it's the baby boomers, right? The baby boomers have had these like mom and pop hotels for such a long time. They've been doing this business. They've been maybe even living at the property, haven't been renovating. And so there's a huge opportunity with the baby boomers retiring. Over 10,000 baby boomers retire every single year. And times are truly changing, and we have to take advantage of this opportunity. These kinds of opportunities only come once in a lifetime. And if we don't take advantage of it, that ship sails, right? Like we always hear people talking about, oh, I invested in Apple so many years ago, and now it's worth X, Y, and Z, right? Or Nvidia. And this is similar, to be honest. Like there's a wave of this happening. Think about when Airbnb was just starting, right? To what it is now. And now it's saturated. So many people are trying to get in. But hotels are right now. And what happens when people retire? Britt, when you retire, what did you start doing? What do you do now?
Same thing I was doing before.
Yeah, but you're traveling, right? Like you're
I'm
traveling.
spending way more time with my family, which has been incredible, right? So it's traveling, it's doing focusing on what I actually love and doing what I want to do with my day. Because when I was working that 9 to 5, I was just staring at the clock, like when could I get out of here? So that freedom has been incredible.
Yeah, and when people retire, they go travel. When you travel, it's the hospitality business that's going to take off, right? So, why hotels now? And then, a lot of you guys I saw are in the short-term rental space. I mean, you guys can tell me more than me tell you of kind of how crowded that space has become. There's a housing crisis in America. And people are trying to get Airbnbs. People are trying to buy their homes where they can live in. I mean, that marketplace has just gotten so saturated. And more than just the saturation, it's the regulations, right? The regulations have become so difficult to deal with. One of my buddies I was talking to a couple months ago, he bought a property out in Texas, and he bought it as a short-term rental. By the time he furnished it, just a couple months in, by the time he furnished it, the regulation changed and they were no longer allowed to do a short-term rental in that area. And so now he just has a glorified vacation home that is no longer an income producing asset for him, right? So the government interference and regulations and restrictions, it's just so difficult to deal with. And it's, why would we get deeper into that space, right? Instead of just going into the hotel space where you have the licenses, you have the regulations that support your business, and you don't have to worry about what tomorrow is going to look like. And then another one is high interest rates, right? So high interest rates in general have been a barrier for a lot of people getting into real estate. right? Because you get into these asset classes that have maybe a 4% cap rate, a 5% cap rate, and your interest rate is 7, 8, 9%. And so you can't even meet your debt service or your loan payments. But with hotels specifically, hotels are a business plus real estate. And that business component gives it high cash flow, and high cash flow allows you to pay your like bank fees, right? Your mortgage, your interest rates, your principal and mortgage, right? So you're able to take care of these payments through investing in hotels. You're able to build long-term wealth and have heavy cash flow that's coming in every single year. The high interest rates have stopped investors from investing in commercial real estate. So now is the perfect time to get in while people are still sleeping on this asset class.
And how many of you can think of a time where you wish you brought rentals? Like maybe 2008, maybe that time when it was not so many people getting in because they were running the other way. This is another opportunity. And this is why we're pushing this so hard, because we don't want you guys to be 10 years down the line again and look back and say, I wish I bought in 2025.
Yeah, so we want to talk about how you can replace 5 or more rentals with just one hotel without millions in the bank. The without millions in the bank we'll get to a little bit later in the presentation, but let's just start with scaling, right? That's really all that means. And so scalability with traditional rentals, whether it's single family homes, Airbnbs, whatever it is, just over time it becomes more and more complicated, right? It's the longer you have the property, the more headaches, everything gets run down. Now you have to actually go to the property. It just becomes a headache, right? And then, if we go next, more properties, more problems, right? The chances of you being able to scale in one neighborhood, slim to none, right? Like you can't buy a whole neighborhood and turn it into an Airbnb. It's going to be really difficult to do. So what happens is when you try to scale, you're going to have a couple properties here. You're going to have a couple properties on the other side of town. You're going to have a couple in another city in your, within the state. And then you might even have to go out of state, right? And so when you are now trying to scale, you have a maintenance issue in the northern part of your state, you have a guest issue in another part of the state. You don't have a staff. You don't have people that can run around and manage. You're in too many different places. You're being pulled in every which direction. Instead, with hotels under one roof, you can have so many different units, right? And so hotels inherently allow you to scale, and you can really use this concept of economies of scale and put it into motion. Whereas with single family homes and Airbnbs, you're not able to do that, right? I'll give you an example. Just the other day, we paid. So how we do it is like every Tuesday we kind of do our billing. And so just one Tuesday we went through and we paid one bill, which took care of 100 different units, right? And it's all under one roof, right? Yesterday we had a hot water issue, right? We have a maintenance man that's on staff. He comes in, he clocks in every single day. He's there at 8 a.m. every single day, and he leaves at 4 p.m. If we have an issue, he's there. He's on the payroll. He's expected to be there. So it's just an ease of operation. You have an entire staff that's under one roof. You have cleaners that come in every day. They have to report at 9 a.m. You have one person that does the laundry. They come in at 9 a.m. and they do, they do the sheets, they throw it in the washer, they throw it in the dryer, they fold, all of that stuff. You don't have to worry about contractors. You don't have to worry, what if your cleaner doesn't show up, right? How many of you guys have ever had to run in as an emergency and go and like turn over your Airbnb or clean your Airbnb? Anyone put in the chat if you've had to do that? Judy, oh man, I gotta hear these stories one day.
Oh my gosh. I feel that
one of these days we'll just do like a nightmare like session where we have people share their crazy stories. But yeah, I had a buddy of mine who literally we were hanging out, and at 8 p.m. he got a call and he had to run over to his property and turn it over before these people checked in, right? And so that kind of mess, it doesn't happen. If someone calls off at a hotel, you just call up one of your other housekeepers. You call up one of the other staff members, and someone will pick up the shift, right? Um, you have a manager, you have an assistant general manager, you have a salesperson. So all of this infrastructure you can afford because we have so many units under one roof, right? And so having this centralized staffing just reduces the headaches and allows us to truly do what we want to do, which is travel, spend time with our family, spend time with our kids, our spouse, whatever it may be, right? Or making the world a better place, right? So we can truly step away and build a business rather than, just have a bunch of headaches. So
Absolutely.
awesome. So obviously with hotels having 100 units, right? Once you're able to scale, have 50 units, 40 units, whatever it may be under one roof, it's inherently it's going to be more profit, right? And not just more profit, but it's going to be more predictable revenue. You have predictable revenue coming in every single day. You're not 0 or 100. You're not booked or vacant, right? When you have 1 unit or 2 units, it's very singular, right? Either you're booked or you're not. With hotels, you can really take advantage of dynamic pricing. You can increase your rates one day, you can decrease it. Your occupancy can be 30, 40, 50% in the slow seasons, but in the summer seasons, you're at 100%. But being able to sell, even 15, 20 rooms in a given night, you're able to like make your minimum payments and make sure that you're paying your kind of fixed costs through those slow seasons. So yeah, so economies of scale, I mean, you're really able to put it to work. You're also the other thing, even what we were talking about this weekend, Brittany, we were talking about like how can we add additional income streams to the properties, right? What else can we charge for, right? Like, can we add a gift shop? Can we add a spa? Can we add a little restaurant? At one of the properties that we're building right now, we're talking about doing like a rooftop restaurant and then a cafe in the lobby area. So all of these things can add additional income streams, which also add to that profit margin for our hotel. Rather than Airbnbs, you gotta add in these like cleaning fees and all these ancillary fees that everyone hates, right? It's like all these unexpected fees. And what happens from that? I mean, you can maybe make a little bit more money, but your guest reviews, your guest satisfaction, all of that stuff suffers. Whereas when you add amenities to a hotel, I mean, your reviews get better, you're making more money, and it's just a no-brainer, right? So awesome. So the other thing with hotels is deal sourcing, right? You got to talk to one broker, you do one transaction, you go to the title company one time, you do one purchase sale agreement, you do one LOI, and you get 50 units, you get 60 units, all in one, right? You don't have to go and talk to 50 different brokers, deal with, 20 different residential agents and also some commercial agents and all of this like muddied space because it doesn't make sense, right? You don't have to do all of that. You can talk to one broker, you can have listings, you can do one underwriting and see if it makes sense and close on a deal one time, right? And so all of a sudden you go from 0 to 50, 0 to 100. That's exactly what I did. That's what my journey looked like. So I might be a little bit biased, but I sure as heck don't want to spend time, doing 1,000 transactions when I can just do 10 transactions and buy 10 hotels, right? All right. So, Britt, do you have anything to add there before we go into without having millions in the bank?
Well, I would say, I don't know if any of you guys are feeling the same, but when I was trying to get in commercial real estate, it felt really scary to me because it felt like I was buying 25 to $50,000 houses, right? So that's what I was used to. I was driving out to these tiny towns, renovating the houses, having a few $100s in cash flow. But what I realized is buying the bigger deals, it's not harder. It's actually easier and it's a lot more profitable. But you just have to have this belief in yourself that you really can do it. And that's what we're here teaching you tonight. But it is possible and it is extremely rewarding. But I know it can feel a little bit intimidating. But
Yeah.
seeing the facts here, it's hard to ignore when you're talking about scaling, and you're all here on this call for a reason, right? You're all wanting something more, something different, something that you're able to scale, and that's what hotels are incredible for.
Yeah, and that's a really good point too, is when you're trying to scale with like residential properties, there's no real underwriting, right? Like you can't, there's no financials. It's a lot of guesswork. And you're just hoping and crossing your fingers that you're going to generate money, right? When you're working with a commercial property, you have data, you have financials that you can review, you can underwrite it, you have more comps, right? Because you're not in a neighborhood now, you're in a retail commercial area where there's maybe potentially other properties that you can, kind of mimic and see what works for them and where you can be, right? So you can really add in this whole like underwriting component to it, which takes away some of the risk. And so you de-risk it when going into the commercial deals versus residential deals. It's a lot of guesswork. So I love that. Awesome. All right. Well, uh, the question is, without like, how can you do this without millions in the bank, right? And to be honest, like we all started somewhere, right? We all started somewhere. And I, didn't have, all of this, capital and infrastructure and everything when I bought my first hotel. Um, and I had to get creative, right? And so most people think that you need, when you see a Hilton on the side of the road or a Marriott on the side of the road or a really beautiful boutique hotel, you just think, oh man, this might be like $5 million or $3 million. And I got to have all that money up front. How else can I do it? Right. But in reality, there's so many ways to acquire a hotel. And even, some of those include with having limited cash, right? And I would say, honestly, that going into the commercial space, you have more options and more doors that are available to you versus working in the residential space. So let's see what some of those are. So the first one is just, traditional loans, right? So you can have traditional conventional loans. There's a program in the US called the SBA program, and there's a similar program in Canada as well for my Canadians. But in America, there's something called the SBA, so Small Business Administration, and they actually help you get into hotels because technically it's a business, right? It's not just real estate, but it's a business. And so, going into hotels or the commercial space, you're able to unlock so many different financing options. There's a lot more that we can talk about, but there's like CMBS products, there's bridge products, and all these different loans that we can take advantage of that help us finance our purchase. And sometimes we can get as low as 10 to 15% down payment on the deal and get it closed, right? So now all of a sudden that $3 million deal that we're looking at, it's just a $300,000 investment, right? Which may seem like a lot still, but when we get into our next points, we can talk about even how to cover those. So let's keep going. So seller financing, right? If I'm selling a home that I've lived in for 15, 20 years, chances are I'm doing it to go into my next home, right? And so any capital that I have in a home that I'm going to sell, it's very difficult to get seller financing when working with residential assets, right? People are less open to the idea of doing seller financing because there's no capital gain tax on it, right? If it's my primary home that I've lived in, I can sell it, make a ton of money, and I don't have to pay, I don't have a tax liability with that. And then I can use that to then buy my next home, right? But with commercial properties, when you sell a commercial property that I've owned for 15, 20 years, I've paid down my loan and I have a big, just a big cash out event. Maybe I bought it for $1 million and I'm selling it for $2 million. I'm going to have to pay capital gain tax on that $1 million. And so as a seller, what I would want to do is I would be open to possibly giving seller financing where I can now allow someone else to buy my property, right? And I can make some money every single year in the form of interest payments. And then after 10 years, I can get that money back, or after 5 years, I can get that money back, right? And now all of a sudden, I don't have as big of a taxable event that happens when I sell my property. So this story or this dialogue is exactly how I would pitch it if I'm buying a hotel. And so seller finance becomes a huge opportunity when buying hotel assets. And it's not just with mom and pop hotels, but it is definitely something that we want to use when we are buying something which has been in the family for 15, 20 years. Because they can avoid that tax event, right? So seller finance is an amazing option. You can potentially get your entire down payment seller finance, and now you can come into it with zero money down. So you just got to get creative and think outside the box a little bit. So awesome. And then another option is JV partnerships, right? And so if you've known a few people that want to get into hotels, but they don't want to take on the headache, the management, the day-to-day operations, but you're ready to put sweat into the game. You can partner with people that you've known for a while and create a JV type partnership, right? Where maybe you get a couple people together, they put up some money. You have different duties that everyone's going to do. You're running the day to day, and all of a sudden you come together and you put this pool of people together, and you're able to lock down the asset with zero or little money down, right? And then how the capital stack, which is what we call it when, thinking of where all the money comes from, you can even do it where you have a loan to take down a majority of the asset, and then a JV partnership to tackle that last piece of the down payment. So awesome. So that's JV partnerships. And then the last one that I want to talk about a little bit is syndications. And so you can raise money from investors to fund the deal, again, without using any of your own cash, right? Again, with all of these kind of options to lock down the asset, you can still invest your own money, right? But you can also structure it in a way where you can, put less money down, right? And so a lot of these strategies will be creative financed, right? You want to think creatively. You could do lease, you can do arbitrage, even in hotels. You can assume the loan. You can get private money lenders. So many ways to do it. So, Britt, do you have any stories of how you've structured deals in the past, and have you used any of these points?
Yeah, so this is again, like CJ saying, what I love so much about commercial real estate, because it's really hard with the single families to do a lot of this. Like syndicating a single family home makes no sense, but syndicating a hotel, that's when you can get a lot of people together, do a joint partnership. That's another really great way to keep it small. And then you can raise capital and you could do what you are amazing at and what you love to do, and then you could have other people invest alongside you. So I have actually got into both of the hotel deals that I'm in with none of my own money. So that's something really important for you guys to pay attention to, because there are so many different strategies. And like we're talking about the seller financing, the different types of bank loans, there's just so many options out there that allows you guys to get into these deals, and you really don't have to have your own money. And this
And
is from
what I love
experience.
about commercial real estate is if you're aggressive, if you're motivated, that saying, if there's a will, there's a way, right? That applies to commercial real estate. If you can get creative, if you can think about the deal in all different directions, you can find a way to get the deal done, right? There's so many different ways, and the beautiful thing is very little regulations in how you can do it, right? As long as you're compliant, you do the paperwork right, you can get creative and structure deals very, very creatively. Versus in the residential space, again, you're one-sided, right? You don't have as big of a playground to play with, and the person selling the asset probably has another place that they need to move into, and they need to use that money for something else, right? So yeah, it's awesome. I love it. I know
And this
some of
is
you guys have
all,
questions.
by the way, you guys, ownership of the hotels, because Danny was asking, can you give an example of arbitrage hotel, which maybe you could do, but I think being an owner in the hotel and raising capital from people, but you're the owner of it and you're all part owner, but you want those long-term benefits of actually owning the property, because over time these places will appreciate like crazy, and you want to have that equity in the deal. So I don't know about the arbitrage, but I am just definitely would want that ownership in the property.
Yeah, yeah. And I can touch on that a little bit too at the end when we have questions. So
And I don't know if we mentioned arbitrage. Oh, that could have been earlier in the chat, because I know there's some Airbnb arbitrage people on here. But I was just saying, using those skills through short-term rentals, even if it is arbitrage, you could take all of that and then actually go in and own your own hotel, because a lot of those skills are transferable to it. So I know you guys, there's probably a lot of questions, and I see in the chat, and we will get to the Q&A at the end. So we will answer all of your questions. So feel free to put them in the chat. But we know that there are a lot of different ways to go in real estate investing. But we are here tonight to talk about hotels, and we are excited to see so many people. I see so many people in the chat that are already ready to jump in and get started. But this is why we're here. This is where we're presenting from the Hotel Investor Academy. And this is the reason why we created this community, because we know there are so many people that are excited about hotel investing, but don't have that support system around them. And that's where it can be really difficult. And I did find that to be how it was for me when I first started in commercial real estate, because I just didn't really feel like I had anyone to ask questions to. But this is why Sujay and I got together to start the Hotel Investor Academy, because we know that there are so many of you, all of you out there on this call today that do really want that community and want some education to help you through. But we want you to take action, because the worst thing that you can do is not decide. So you don't want to be sitting on the fence for another few years and miss the opportunity. So it's more important that you decide than anything, and then go all in on it. So we want you to be taking action after this call, no matter what it is. It's just get out there and actually do something with the information we're providing for you guys. So we will talk about our community in a minute and then get to all of your questions, but this is why we created it. We wanted community, coaching, and content. So you get all three. I love our members so much. I don't know if they're here. I don't think anyone are here live tonight, because we had 2 calls actually with our community today, because we want to just be there to support and help no matter what. So we have students now that are submitting LOIs, and they have a question. They want their deal analyzed. We have deal analysis calls, and we're here to help support. Oh, hey, Rick is on. Hey, Rick, good to see you. Yeah, we just got back from an incredible time out here in Belize. Rick is the best. So thank you for joining on live tonight. But yes, our members are the best. And this is everything that we teach in the Hotel Investor Academy. We have a course, so we have our video course that you could go back and watch all of the replays, and we have homework that comes with that. We have a weekly call with either me or Sujay live with you guys. We have deal analysis calls. We have tax and legal calls. So you're not spending money asking questions to legal counsel or tax accountants, because we all know those can add up and get expensive. So we do bring experts to help you and answer any questions, and we give really good prices on their services as well for our members. So we have mindset calls, networking calls, special guest calls. We have Robert Kiyosaki's business partner, Ken McElroy. He wrote the ABCs of real estate, if you guys know Ken. So he's on our call coming up here. I think it's next month. So we bring the best of the best to talk to you guys about hotel investing and to help you get through to your first deal. So we have our exclusive mastermind events as well, like the one we were just talking about in Belize. And then we have the free consultation with our preferred accountants. So you get that call for free as well. And there are so much more. So what our members are saying, you could read through that, but we just really appreciate the members and seeing how far they were able to come in just a few months, because this is a new program, but we have just hit the ground running and seen so much progress already. So yeah, they're already finding deals, they're submitting LOIs, they're defining what they actually want in a hotel. And so we are looking for people, like this isn't a get rich quick scheme, you know, this is a long-term wealth building strategy. And we are here to help you with that. But it's not, if you're looking for an overnight success, get rich quick, it really is not for you, because it is going to require you to learn and to submit offers. And we are going to help you through every phase of that. But we don't want anyone who's thinking that this is just going to be overnight success, because it's not the case. But we would love to have the people who are ambitious, committed, like a Rick here on the call. He is the definition of that. He is so awesome. So that's who we are looking for in our academy. So yes.
Awesome. Yeah, just some testimonials of people that, you know, we've worked with in the past. So we have Charles. You know, he's crushing it. He's so smart, motivated. And so, you know, just a couple of testimonials. So we have this one, and then you know, we have Charlesia's. But main thing is, you know, we're looking for people who are motivated, right? Like I'm a big believer of Kobe Bryant, right? And there was this quote that I always like live by. The one who thinks that they can and the one who thinks he can't are both right, right? So you guys probably heard that before. And then just going back to Kobe, just, you know, being a go-getter, right? So don't let, oh man, it seems so far-fetched, or, you know, it seems unimaginable. You know, Britt can tell you, like, you know, what she's doing now, like she never thought that that's what her life would be or what she would be doing years ago. And if she didn't take that leap, if she didn't show up, probably wouldn't have happened, right? So
Exactly. Yeah, it's true. And I'm so thankful that I did. And we are offering you guys tonight, everyone who's on this call, a free strategy session. So we will take a look at where you're at now and what the best path is for you guys. So scan the QR code. We'll also post the link in the chat, and then we're going to get to questions in just a minute here. But definitely book that free call, because you don't want to be spending an hour with us here tonight and not be taking that action and taking the next step forward. And this is a free gift for you guys to do that. So we really appreciate you guys being here tonight. And we just would love to have you on for that free one-on-one session. And we will get to questions, but again, it is hard to get to everything. So if you do book that call, then you will be able to ask all of those questions. So thank you guys. But and then we do have a question. Sorry, and I see a few of you are posting in the chat, but just posting to the host. But if you post to everyone, if you change it on there, then everyone can see it. But we will put the link. I just got a message from Nathan. Can I get the link? I don't have my phone on me. So if our team could do that, thank you guys so much. And then we're going to get to a few questions. I'm going to go all the way back up in the chat. And if you guys think of anything else as we're going through, feel free to put it in there, because we're going to go to our Q&A.
awesome.
And
Well,
so
you do that. Okay, go ahead, Britt. Shoot.
No problem. I saw one here from Judy. Do you typically look for off-market deals more or work with brokers more often?
Yeah, both, right? I'm looking for deals any way I can get them, right? So I look for off-market deals where I'm going, and sometimes brokers will bring me off-market deals too. If they know in general what I'm looking for, I've worked with them in the past, you know, if they hear something, and whispers that, hey, you know, this person might be trying to, you know, move out, they'll bring me an off-market deal that's not been blasted out. But at the same time, you know, I bought on-market deals and I will continue to look at on-market deals. And the last thing is, once you get in the right rooms and once you're around the right people, The last couple deals I did were just direct owner to owner, right? And they weren't even thinking about selling it. But I called them up and I'm like, hey, you guys selling anything? And one of them was like, yeah, we're thinking about selling this. And I followed up, followed up, followed up. 6 months later, I got that deal and I closed on it. And it was an 87 room hotel, and we're crushing it, right? And so, it's about being in the right rooms, being surrounded by the right people, whether that's owners, whether that's brokers, or just honestly anyone, and speaking what you're trying to do, right? So someone may know someone. So to answer your question, I'm looking at both, right? So I don't limit it just to brokers, but I'm looking at every which way possible.
For sure. And the hotel here in Belize that I'm at currently, this was an off-market deal that did come through, and we did get a portion of that seller financed as well. So all the strategies kind of coming together. Mary asked here, can you help with a new build?
Can I help with a new build? Yeah, I
That's
can help.
CJ's
Definitely.
favorite thing.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I'm gonna do this. I don't know if it's kosher, but like literally, I'm sitting on top of some blueprints right now that we're
Why
working
don't
on.
take a
So
picture of that? That's so fun.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I share my journey, share what we've done, even share some good contacts in terms of, architects. We have amazing designers actually that are part of the program already and part of the community already. So I'm sure they would love to get involved, and they've done some cool designs for hotels already. So, yeah, I mean, development is a lot of fun. It's also a pain in the butt at times, right? But the main thing is like, we know how to mitigate it, right? We know how to mitigate some of the pains and learning points that I've had, especially my first deal. I mean, it was definitely difficult. And then we even did some development through COVID, right? So now, developing through COVID where we had our GC quit and things like that, and learning how to manage through that process, we just learned so much in terms of even, what kind of paperwork to have done properly and how to track, and when to do payments to the contractors, and all of those things. So yeah, I love development. I love working through development deals as well. So
So good. And that's what I love about our community and our members too, because it is so diverse. And Rick can attest to this too, but there's just everyone's so helpful within the community. And like we say, we have designers, we have so many people from so many different backgrounds, including development as well. So Anthony is asking, how is a hotel a good investment when it's quite seasonal?
ooh, that is a good question.
Great
So
question.
yeah, so hotels are seasonal. So sometimes I raise capital for deals, and when I'm raising capital, I always tell my investors, right, that it's going to be different than a multifamily asset that you're invested in, or putting your money in a CD, right, like a fixed deposit, premium deposit account, where you're just earning interest every month, and I mean, you don't have to think about it. You know exactly what's coming in the first of every month. For some of you who are in the short-term rental business or Airbnb business, it's a little bit more like that, right? Where you have slow seasons, right? So example, I'm in Ohio. In Ohio in the wintertime, it's slow. It is like people aren't traveling as much coming here. Brit, I've been trying to get Brit down here for a minute, and she's like, I'm not coming until it's 70 plus degrees, right? So but all jokes aside, it is seasonal, but even in the slow season, there's still business, right? You want to pick the right markets, and you want to understand the market that you're investing in. Over here, there's still corporate business that's happening. We have some properties off of Interstate 70, and so when people are driving through and the weather gets really bad, people pull over and stay. We had a guest stay at our property yesterday. And the only reason I know this is we had a glitch in our system where our rate shot up, and someone ended up paying a really high rate, and I was like, what, how, why? And they just got really tired on the road and pulled over and stayed at the hotel, right? At Airbnbs, people aren't pulling over, and you don't have walk-ins. At hotels, you do, right? We have a front desk, we have someone that can tell them the rate, someone who can pick up the phone and check them in, right? And so Yes, it is seasonal. Summertime is popping over here. We're doing really good. And in the winter time, it's a little bit slower. But when we look at these assets and when we underwrite them on a 12-month basis, right? Or we call it a trailing 12. So when you're looking at a trailing 12, you have to look at overall, even if you lose money in December and January, if you're making 4 times as much in June, July, and August, it's very well maybe worth it, right? And that's where it's important to kind of like understand and learn the commercial business spaces. You have to have some sort of cash flow management and understand, okay, in the slow seasons, we need to have a savings. We need to have a reserve account that will get us through the next 3, 4 months. And then we can start doing profit distribution. So going back to my point, when I'm pitching a deal to investors or raising capital, I always tell them that this is a little bit of a different experience, right? As opposed to just, getting that, the same amount of check every first of the month, right? And so in July, we might have 3 profit distributions. In August, we might have 4 profit distributions. And then in October and November, we may only have 1 profit distribution. And then in December, January, we may have 0, right? But what you have to do is you have to look at it from a 12-month standpoint and a trailing 12 and see how profitable the asset is. So good question.
Yeah, great question. We have a Q&A. I see on the Q&A side as well. Question here. In the academy, what timeline should we expect for how long the deals take to lock down? And if you're starting from day one with no property in mind? Also, is it feasible for someone to do your program if I have a full-time job? So that's a great question too.
Great question. Yeah. So, the first part of it is, timeline. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, right? And I want to be very, very honest with all of you guys here. So I'll answer the questions, as honestly and truthfully as I can, right? And so with timeline, sometimes it takes longer and sometimes it doesn't, right? The right property has to fall into your lap at the right time, right? I'll be the first one to say is like, just because we can doesn't mean we want to rush into a property that may not be a good fit for us, either from like a time requirement or an economics perspective. We want to make sure that we're going after the right deal. I think the main thing that we focus on in the academy is we focus on making sure that we're well prepared and we know we know what we don't know, right? And then we also understand the things to de-risk us from making this leap into the commercial real estate space. My goal is that, to teach how to buy a hotel, how to get into a hotel, how to underwrite a hotel, right? So that way when the right deal comes in front of you, we can take action, we can lock it down, we're prepared enough to submit an LOI, we know who all of our, attorney partners are, financing partners are. If we're doing a brand, we know how to navigate that franchise side of things. We know how to raise capital. We know how to, work through our social media and make people aware, right? Like we want to be prepared so that way when the right opportunity comes, we're ready to kind of attack it, right? So from a timeline standpoint, it could take 3 months, it could take 6 months, it could take 9 months, right? It just, some of it depends on the economy, some of it depends on when the right property is available. What was the second part of the question, Britt?
About a full-time job.
Yeah. Britt, do you want to touch on this?
Yeah, so I would say majority of our members do currently have full-time jobs and we make time, right? So we were just talking over the weekend about how to buy back your time. So how to make the most out of the time that you do have in the evenings, on the weekends, because it is definitely possible. And we've had members submit LOIs in a pretty short time frame, I think 3 months. And multiple people do have those full-time jobs, and it is just that balance. So it is 100% possible, and we are here to help you make that timeline a lot shorter, because when your time is limited, we want to make sure you are making the most out of your time. So great question though. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and the good thing is most of all the calls are recorded, right? So if life gets crazy at times and if something stops you from getting on the call live, you can always go back and watch the recording and go from there. So
Absolutely. So I'm trying to go up in the chat. I see a lot of really great questions. I think we might have touched on this already, but do you see a lot of seller financing in this space? And are most of your deals off market or broker sourced? Did I read that one already, Sujay? I think I
Maybe,
might.
maybe, but the first part, the seller financing, we didn't touch on that, so I can touch on that while you queue up the next question.
Yep.
Yeah, so in terms of seller financing, I've had one deal before with seller financing, and to be honest, I just sold a property where I did some seller financing, and then our Belize property was seller financed as well. So yeah, I mean, seller financing is definitely an option. I've had other properties where seller financing was an opportunity, but I just had a different strategy in mind and I didn't really want to do it that way, right? And so that's the other really cool thing is like depending on, where we are in our investing journey, what our goals are, what other kind of pros that we have or things that are going for us, we can kind of make the best strategy to tackle the deal, right? So it may not always be the case where we want to do seller financing. We may want to get creative and do something else. One of the last properties I was working on, I had a huge seller finance opportunity available, but the lender that I was working with, they almost didn't want us to do the seller financing because they wanted us to put a little bit more skin in the game. And it was a big deal. It was a big rehab deal. And it was a different type of product. It was a bridge product. And so, because of that, I didn't want seller financing. I wanted us to bring more of the capital to the table. And so we even passed on it like that. So but I will say in general, I think there's a lot more seller financing opportunity in this space than it would be if you're just buying like a residential property, right? So
So one question from Mary, and then oh man, we always get to the hour pretty quickly, but we will ask this one last question. Mary says, "Can you help with location analysis? I have a good deal, I think, or a location in mind, but I need to confirm there's enough demand." So that is a really, really important question.
yeah, sorry. Britt, can you ask that again real quick?
So Mary asks, can you help with location analysis? I have a good location in mind, but I need to confirm if there's enough demand. So really
Yeah.
important in hotel investing with the demand of it.
Yeah, real cool. I had a couple calls today just on this. So, we use a lot of tools to analyze like the demand side of things. So, one of the things we use is CoStar. And so, I can definitely walk you through kind of how to go through and look at the submarket and see if there's enough demand in the area. A couple of the metrics that we use when underwriting deals is occupancy, which is kind of self-explanatory, ADR, and then RevPAR. So ADR stands for average daily rate, and RevPAR is revenue per available room. And so, we kind of look at these three metrics to understand, okay, like, does this make sense in terms of converting a multifamily asset to a boutique hotel? Or, even taking maybe a economy branded hotel and up flagging it, right? Into, let's say, for example, we take a Quality Inn and we turn it into a Fairfield Inn, right? We want to make sure that there is a demand in terms of occupancy and a high ADR to support us in that endeavor, right? And so we want to underwrite kind of these different metrics in different ways depending on what the strategy is. So good question, good question.
Great question. Well, guys, we're already at the hour. That went by so fast, but I know that there's quite a few more questions I could see in the chat. We couldn't get to everybody today, but definitely book the strategy session so you guys can get all of your questions answered. And we are just really excited for you. We love this asset class. We love the opportunity that is coming up in boutique hotels and hotels in general in franchise. So we want you guys to take action. We're really excited about it. And we really appreciate you being live here with us tonight.
Hey, thank you all for your time. And we're so excited. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for being on live. Thank you, Sujay. Have a good
Thanks.
night, everybody.